Hello and welcome to NJ Biz Conversations. I'm your host, Jeff Kanaj. My guest today is Dr. Ali Houshmand. He is the president of Rowan University. Dr. Houshmand, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time. Now, NJ Biz readers probably know you as the university president who makes hot sauce.
Right.
But there's a lot more going on at Rowan. And so before we talk about peppers, I'd like to hear a little bit about what you've been up to.
Sure.
I wanted to set the stage first with when you became president in 2012, if I've got that right. You had already been at the school in senior roles for several years. So you must have known it very well. I'm curious, when you took the job, what did you see as the biggest challenges or your most important priorities? What was the school like then, and where did you think you needed to get to?
The school was very sleepy town kind of a school that everybody was comfortable, and it was a good school for kids to come and get education, undergraduate education. And what I really recognized as the biggest challenge at that time was, if I wanted to implement change, and I had a lot of ideas and ambitions from previous experiences, that I needed to change the culture of the institution so that they will embrace change.
Okay.
So I worked on that one for 2 years, and the way that I worked, it was really trying to be as transparent, as honest, as open as possible with everybody. Whatever information they wanted, I gave them. Whatever conversation they wanted, I will have with them. But by them, I mean faculty, staff, unions, and everybody. And I knew that we have to become a community if we want to progress.
Okay.
If we are kind of in fight with each other, or argument constantly with each other, we are going to spend most of our energy just banging our head against one another. So I recognized that really was critical, and I worked very, very diligently. I'll give you one example.
Sure.
The Senate of the university had serious problem with the budget, the way the budget was formulated under the previous president. And every year when the budget time came in, they would write mass email, questioning, where is the detail of the budget? How does this thing is formulated, and all of that. When I became the president, the first thing that I did, I went to the chief financial officer and asked him to print for me 3 years past detailed budget expenditure. And I said, color code them, and I copy them multiple times, and took them all to that meeting with the Senate leaders. And I gave each of them the 3 copies. And I said, here are what we have done of the previous president over the past 3 years. I need for you to now formulate a budget for me for this year. Here are income, here are the expenses projected. And if your budget formulation is better than mine, I will adopt it.
Okay.
And that was well received. From then on, we have never, ever had any complaint from Senate regarding the budget. In fact, in every committee of the budget, board budget committee, the Senate representative is there. They get the exact same documents as we do. They get the same resolutions as we do. And I think the key again is that, how do you make sure that you become we? Because if I think of myself as more important than the university and try to constantly promote myself, eventually very quickly, people are going to figure me out, and they're not going to actually agree with all the things that I propose, because they think, what is he up to? What is his real motive? Unless you're absolutely transparent and open and trusting, and you see eye to eye, because whether somebody is in the union or not, whether they're faculty, whether they're staff, whether there's a janitor or a professor, everybody wants to have a dignified place to work. Nobody says, I get up in the morning, I want to go and screw up. Nobody says that. People get up in the morning in order to really, it's not just a job. They want to kind of have a dignified presence and be respected as an individual. And that's really what we have created in this thing. If I really wanted to say the greatest strength of Rowan is exactly that. The ability to embrace change, intelligent risk-taking. Because we are at the time where relying on the state taxpayers or the students' tuition and fees to manage the state universities is suicidal. We need to find ways in which, number one, run our universities like a business.
Okay.
Apply business principle in everything that we do. Every dollar counts and matters. And do it in such a way that we partner with others, and in the areas that we are not good, let others do it and do it better and more efficiently for the good of all. And that's what we do. We have in 10 years built $1.5 billion of building in Glassboro area. And almost all of it was somebody else's money. But it created thousands of jobs, and those people who invested, they profited from it. And I'm delighted that they did.
Okay.
In the meantime, we reduced our portfolio in the areas where we are not good at and concentrate in the areas that we are very good at, creating knowledge and imparting knowledge on others. And this is really what we're doing here. That to me is the key to our success.
Okay. So it sounds like, I mean, you got buy-in from the Senate. I'm curious, when you say run it like a business, that sounds good, but I imagine there must have been some resistance, some controversy about that, because the answer to that is, well, yes, a university though isn't a business. Its primary function is not to be profits, to produce profits for shareholders. Its primary purpose is to educate students, educate the next generation of leaders for the state, for the country. Was there that kind of resistance, and B, how did you overcome it?
No, number one, there wasn't anything, because we are in the business of making life. We are in the business. I don't know of a single faculty member who is willing to teach for nothing.
Okay, well, there you go.
There is transaction going on. And I don't know any student who come in here and get education for nothing. Their parents sign big checks.
Okay.
Therefore, transaction is happening. That's number one.
Okay.
What I did in order to deal with the Senate was, I said, our key purpose in this place is to create knowledge and to impart knowledge. Therefore, when it comes to the academic aspect of the university, is sacred. That's our key mission.
Okay.
I would never cut it. I would never impose any changes on them that undermines their well-being. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, the other source of revenue is that if I'm short of money, I can always increase the tuition and fee by any percentage I want from the students. That's the wrong way. So we froze that. We said we will never increase the tuition and fees more than rate of inflation. And we use business principle in running every other aspect of the university. So we have housing, we have food services, we have fleet management, we have landscaping, we have utilities, we have buildings that we build, HVAC, you name it. Fully 50% of budget is for non-academic. And if I could concentrate on those and run them as business, and they are business. Right. And then bring that profit or that revenue that I generate back investing into the faculty. Number one, the faculty would be happy. They concentrate on their core mission, and I have not wasted the money of resources of the university in the areas that are not the part of our core mission. So faculty understood that and embraced that, because I do not impose that on our academic. The reason we exist is academic. Therefore, I would not really undermine that one. The rest of the university is business. Okay.
Okay, so I'm curious as to how you assess where you are now, how far you've gotten, because I mean, from an outsider's perspective, there does seem to be a lot happening. I can remember the days when it was called when the school was called Glassboro State. It's a much more prominent institution. Again, my totally impressionistic subjective judgment. It seems to me that I hear a lot more about Rowan these days than I ever used to back in the 80s, the 90s. How far do you think you've gotten? How far do you think you need to go at this point?
We have come a really, really long way. I do not know of any other institution in the history of higher education in this country that transformed itself from a master's classified university in 2016 or 2015 into an R2 Carnegie classified by 2018. And that to me is remarkable. And let me throw some statistics at you.
Okay, by all means.
2012, we had about 1,600 employees. Now we have 4,000 employees. 2012, we have about just over 11,000 students. We have 23,000 students. 2011 or 2012, we had roughly $200 million operating budget. Right now is $650 million. Our endowment and quasi-endowment were about $220 million. Right now is $650 million. And the quality, the ranking of the institution, we were regionally ranked in Northeast. Now we are a nationally ranked research institution, top 100 amongst the public research institutions.
Okay.
And when people ask me, what is your next ambition? I said, you haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
That would be my response. Because I do not know, again, remember, in 35 years in this country, there wasn't a single medical school built. In a space of 7 or 8 years, we have not only built one medical school, we acquired another one and integrated into ours, which is the largest medical school in Southern New Jersey. And we are about to build the first school of veterinary medicine in the state, making us one of only 2 universities in the nation, the other one being Michigan State, that has allopathic, osteopathic, and veterinary medicine. And I think these are tremendous amount of progress. And again, honestly, it comes as a result of running the place like a business, and partnering with others who are with businesses who are better than you in doing the work.
Okay.
That to me is the key. I'll give you an example of housing. Our
Sure.
inventory of housing, we had 3,000 beds when I started. We now have roughly 7,000 beds. Almost all of them are owned by private entities. They're managing it better. They share profit with us. There is air conditioning there. There's beautifully built facilities, whereas what we had looked like a little cage or prison. No air conditioning, and it could have been very, very hot. That to me is transformation. Why would I want to manage housing when I'm not an expert in housing?
Right.
Or why would I want to, for example, generate utility to do, cogeneration plant when this is not my mission. I didn't go to a school to learn how to generate electricity. I went to a school to educate people, to create knowledge. And I think that really is the key to every state, every institution in this country.
Okay.
Because we are a massive economic engine. If we partner with our communities, not only do we lift ourselves, but also we lift the community. I mean, I talked about it. Give you another example. We have built a Rowan Boulevard in partnership between the Borough of Glassboro, developer called Nexus Properties, and Rowan University on a 26 acres of land that belongs to the Borough of Glassboro. That 26 acre used to be the worst part of town. Houses that were boarded up. There was prostitution, drugs, and everything. The borough bought all of those and leveled them, and we built them. At that time, before it was leveled, it was generating $110,000 taxes for the Borough of Glassboro. Mm-hmm. We have built a $500 million campus in there on the edge of the campus. Okay. And that now generates more than $5 million taxes for the Borough of Glassboro. One of the very few municipalities who's got budget surplus. And I think that's the power of institutions partnering with the community to lift everybody.
Okay. Okay. You've raised a bunch of things that I wanted to get into in greater depth. But before we do, I want to ask you about affordability. That's a major concern for students. I know you've taken some actions in that regard. How successful do you think you've been, and what more do you think you need to do to make the school a place that kids can afford to come to and stay and get their degree?
Absolutely. Really, this is the critical part, because again, you know very well, this is a knowledge economy. In order for us to be the greatest country on earth and be powerful enough to have the best economy in the planet, we need to have the educated workforce. And this whole notion that some people should be educated and others should not be is a mistake. Okay. I'm not proposing that everybody has to have bachelor's or master's or PhD, but everybody needs to be educated to work in the knowledge economy. And it's the responsibility of higher education to provide that, especially state institutions. So what have we done so far? We have created partnership, 3+1 partnership with 3 county colleges, where a student can now get a Rowan degree with a total of $30,000 in 4 years. That's number one. Number two, any student who comes to Rowan University with family income of $65,000 or less, they go 4 years for free. 2 years of it is supported by the state. The other 2 years are supported by us. Okay. That's number two. And we are now working with the county colleges in order to create a kind of workforce trade type of a school to train the workforce for manufacturing in this region so that we can bring industries into this region. And that's another part is very, very important in order not only to create the jobs, but also to create internship for our students while they're studying so that they can learn the stuff and then go and become productive citizens. We have already started this. We do it with Lockheed Martin, where Lockheed Martin every year hires more than 100 of our graduates, mostly engineers. And all of these kids connect with Lockheed Martin from year one that they enter as in our college. And this farm system has been tremendously successful to them because they hire proven engineers that they have tested for 4 years. They have all passed their security clearance, and they don't need to go and spend thousands of dollars to search for them. They just pick them one. And I think this should be the future of education in this country. How do we connect higher education with industries so that we can produce what the industry wants rather than what the faculty think that industry wants? Okay. What is the point of me having 1,200 psychology majors when let's say the state needs 200? Okay. Honestly, I mean, that's the important question, is because these are people's children. These are the future of this country. If we want to train the workforce to manage this country in an economy, we need to right size it. Okay. I need to work with industries to find out who do you want? In what format do you want? So that when they are ready, they can go to work and be productive, rather than sending them to industry and spending another 2 years to train them to become productive.
Right. Right. Okay.
I think
Well, you
those are-
anticipated you anticipated my next question, which is, is it? I know you. This is obviously a priority for you. You've done a lot of work there, and it's a priority for Rowan as well. I'm curious though whether you think there needs to be some sort of systemic change in the way higher education institutions are run in this country, or is it just really going to be up to people like you and schools like Rowan to make these kinds of changes, to put these programs in place? Is there some other way to think about the way higher education works in this country that would make it more affordable, that would solve the kinds of problems that you're talking about across the board?
I think what we are doing is a model, but I really do believe that there should be a systemic change.
Okay.
And let me give an example. After the Second World War in this country, we created a massive number of community colleges. GI Bill, bring people, get them educated, and send them to workforce so that the economy runs. We created roughly 1,300 community colleges. If you look at across the nation and look at our own state, every one of the county colleges right now is experiencing at least 10% or double-digit drop in enrollment year after year. And it's getting smaller and smaller. Whereas these are the places that have got the equipments, the laboratories, the dedicated faculty, and we need to use those and partner with four-year institutions and find ways to bring every kid in there through internship with industries to create the kind of trained workforce that our industry wants. Go to them, bring them. I am right now working on a situation where we bring industry leaders into our curricular discussion. They need to give us input, who they want. And given that the technology is moving so fast, we need to really bring tremendous amount of knowledge of technology into our formulation of what we are producing for the future. That's the other thing. The other issue is this. Think about your own grandchild. Let's assume that your grandchild one of your grandchildren hasn't yet been born. Think about the time that grandchild wants to go to school. Do you really want to send your grandchild to an institution like what it is today, where Sage comes on the stage with 1,000 square foot classroom with 30 students sitting there and say, here I am, I know it all, and you listen to me? Or is it artificial intelligence right now making everybody a superhuman being? So the question then is, what is the educational future? Where do you want to send your grandchild, and what kind of education that kid's going to get?
Right.
To me, we need to change the entire higher education so that the academics move, professors move from sage on the stage into guide on the side. They teach our children how to become good decision makers, how they use the massive knowledge of technology and artificial intelligence and all those beautiful things, bring them in and say, how do you package that thing to make a good decision to move forward? To me, that's the educational future, rather than people going to classroom and getting A, B, or C. That to me is nonsense. It's a waste of time.
Okay.
So to me, there is going to be massive amount of transformation in the way that education should be done. There are tremendous amount of resources in here, county colleges, technology, industry. These partnerships need to come together in order for us to produce the right size of education for every citizen so that our economy keep on buzzing. Because if we leave some people behind, they become burden to us, to all of us.
Right.
So I think that to me are the thing that I'm thinking. I'm thinking about the University of 21st Century, because what we have is a university that was created during the agrarian economy, where people went to school fall and spring, and in the summers they were supposed to go to the farm. There is no farm. There are 11 million kids that don't go to farm. Why are we doing the same thing? Why is it that every degree costs exactly 4 years and 8 semesters and 120 credit hours? Who said that an engineer and a psychologist need exactly the same amount of training? It's the same as saying that a truck driver and F-35 pilot want to have the same training to become good.
Okay.
Different industry, different thing. So all these questions of what is a degree, what is a credential, what is a knowledge, what is a certification, all of these things need to be looked at. We are in the 21st century where everything is changing like a speed of light. And we cannot be frozen to the 19th century economy and higher education.
Right, right.
To me, the challenges are massive. And I really tell you, I believe that Rowan would be one example in the nation of embracing all of these changes, precisely because of what I did, change the culture at the beginning.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I hear you saying is that what you think is necessary is A, expansion in the use of technology and the proper use of technology, and B, sort of a structural restructuring of the way higher education is delivered, and for lack of a better term, in this country. Am I summarizing accurately what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned the medical school, and I'm curious to hear about that and the partnership that you forged with Virtua Health, which is one of the larger healthcare systems in South Jersey. What can you tell me about that? How is it working, and what are you getting out of it?
That partnership is tremendously strategic for the future of this institution. To begin with, because I believe that the life sciences in general and biological sciences is the future of economy. Physical sciences, in my opinion, has been exhausted. The future is in food production, water, clean air, human safety. These are all related to the biological aspect of sciences. And
Right.
this is where we really need to focus. Rowan University is heavily focused in putting our medicine, sciences, and engineering together to develop the technologies and methods of the future. And that's really what I believe is the critical part of this partnership with Virtua, because it enables us to have the entirety of their doctors, plus the entirety of our faculty members in engineering and science and medicine come together and work on critical areas of medicine that either you find new ways of treatment or new technologies of treatment,
Okay.
new equipments of treatment. And we are doing tons of those things. That's number one. Number two, the benefit to Virtua is the following. In this country, there are roughly 6,000 hospitals. Of these 6,000 hospitals, about 400 of them, roughly 400 of them are academic medical centers. Those hospitals are affiliated with an academic entity. It turns out that the 400 hospitals that are affiliated academic medical center do more than 50% of the major surgeries in this country.
Okay.
So think about what has happened as a result of Virtua's partnership with us. They went from a community hospital to an academic medical center overnight.
Okay.
So as a result, what happens is a top professor in, let's say, in cardiology in California now wants to look at Virtua and says, yes, I'm willing to go and work with them because what? I can also have a faculty appointment with Rowan University.
Okay.
Whereas before they couldn't do that.
Right. Right.
Now, what has happened, we have two medical schools, each of them with one system, and we have created two academic medical centers. There aren't many of those in the nation.
Right.
There are maybe one or two in the nation that have two academic medical center affiliate. We have it with Cooper and we have it Virtua. And
Okay.
as a result, between these two can basically dominate the entirety of South Jersey's research in medicine. That's the beauty of that partnership.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds interesting. Speaking of scarcity, you also mentioned the veterinary school. NJ Biz readers, again, probably know that will be the first veterinary school in New Jersey. There's a shortage of veterinarians. Can you give us an update on the school? Where is it now? How is that developing?
Moving very well. We have hired the dean, the associate
Right.
deans. We are hiring many of the faculty members. We submitted our pre-accreditation to the accrediting body, and they came in last May, and they gave us a big thumbs up.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
already designed the facility for the building. We know where it is. We have gotten the design. We are right now in the bidding the building, which is roughly about $180 million major construction. And we are on our way to 2025 first class.
Okay.
And I believe
Right.
there is going to be no problem in getting there.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of pet owners are gonna be happy about that, and a lot of
I'm one of
farmers
them.
too. I mean,
I'm
New
one of
Jersey, the
them.
garden state.
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
that's really critical for our state. Yes.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times, you've alluded to the economic impact that the school has on the region, and colleges and universities can have a tremendous impact on the economy in the region. You mentioned job creation. You mentioned the effect on Glassboro. How do you view your role, the school's role as an economic actor in South Jersey? How big should it be, and where do you see you fitting in to the economic structure, the firmament of the region?
We have four pillars on which we try to constantly focus on promoting these four pillars: access, affordability, quality of education, and acting as economic engine. And we pay attention to every one of them. Have been tremendously successful.
Okay.
As I said, our operating budget went roughly from 200 million to about 650 million. I believe in 10 years or maybe less, Rowan should be a $2 billion operating budget with at least 12,000 employees. That is the power of this South Jersey.
Okay.
And as a result, a multiplier effect of that, hairdresser, restaurants, and all of that, you're talking about many thousand more of that. And that could completely change the shape of Southern New Jersey. Because if you, and I don't know how familiar you are, But if you come to places like Salem and Cumberland and Cape May,
Oh,
these
yes.
are depressed counties.
I know.
And we do not want them to become a burden to our state.
Right.
These are great people. They're wonderful, hardworking, decent people. And we need to do everything we can to keep their young people over here, to create jobs, to bring industries, so that together we can lift this thing. And I really believe that is a major role of Rowan University, and our partnership with Cooper as well as with Virtue is going to be critical in enhancing the economy of Southern New Jersey. Because between us, we are employing more than 30,000 people right now.
Right. So you embrace the role as an economic actor
Absolutely,
in the region.
absolutely. It's our responsibility. We are a state. So remember, taxpayers are paying for us.
Right.
It's their right to get maximum benefit from us.
Okay. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your background, and correct me if any of this is wrong, as I understand it. You were born and raised in Iran. You left to study at the University of Essex in the UK, came to the US and studied at the University of Michigan. You started out at in the private sector, then fashioned a successful academic career. I'm curious about how that background shapes your leadership style or your approach to what you do at Rowan, and how does that change or how does that inform the kind of decisions you make and the kind of leader you think you are?
Well, I have had a very challenging life, young life, very, when I was young, very difficult. I was one of 10 children. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad were illiterate, and he wasn't a very good businessman. So we were, we had hungry nights, we had barefooted walking in the streets and all of that. And I honestly believe, when I look back, I believe that the reason that I've been successful is because I've been made so humble. I've seen so much difficulty that I appreciate that. And I don't want to see any other person to go through what I have. Therefore, it's a passion of mine. When I see a person in here comes from a depressed area, for a difficult, a challenging person, the first instinct of mine is, how do I help that person? How do I lift that person? Because I have seen the power of it on me. As a result of me, many of my family members have been upgraded. And there are so many other friends and colleagues that I have promoted, so many graduate students who are very successful citizens of this country. It's a fantastic feeling when you get that, when you help other people to be lifted and to do better. So for me, really is an absolute passion of mine, because I've seen the worst, and I actually have had a life of extremes, extreme beauty and extreme pain. And when I've had that, this has prepared me for the tough time. And I'm very comfortable I would be very comfortable if I was in a small village or a small island with nothing, and I could find a way to feed myself, find a way to survive, because I have gone through all of that. And those things have taught me the values of how to be humble, how to recognize that you are not really all that important. There are many other entities, and the university and the bigger people are far more important than you. And I think those have really helped me. And I'm so grateful for that experience, and I would never replace it with anything.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. You've been very generous with your time, but before I let you go, I did want to ask you again about the hot sauce. Yes. I guess you're still making it and still using it to fund scholarships. Is that the way it works?
Yes. I actually do two things.
Okay.
One is, we have a big farm. Mm-hmm. In the farm, we grow a lot of vegetables and fruit. By vegetables, I mean tomatoes, eggplant, cucumbers, zucchini, squash, and watermelon, cantaloupe, thousands of pounds. Okay, I have got the students that I've hired, and I fundraise, and I grow these things to the tune of 20,000-30,000 pounds, and we box these things and we give them to people in the community. Feel Abundance come in every Friday, get it, Boys and Girls Club, a church in the area. We also have a food pantry. Everybody gets this food for free throughout the summer. At the same time, next to that farm, we also grow all sorts of peppers, the hottest peppers in the world to the lightest pepper.
Okay.
And that one is a business that we run in this university by our students. The students who are hired, they get paid to do from A to Z. And that means from seeds all the way to hot sauce. And they sell it, and every penny of that proceed goes directly to the students who are in financial need situation. Okay. And this has generated well over 200,000 or 300,000 sales so far. I have found various ways about $3 million, and I got another $2.5 million recently endowed money, which I use all of that, and we have helped many students. And that's another thing that I really believe every college president should do.
Okay.
So you should behave like an average, ordinary person in the street.
Right.
You're nothing better than them. I don't see myself as anybody big deal. I'm just like a student, and why can I not go at 6 o'clock in the farm and do the farming, and then at 8 o'clock be in the office? And I do it, and I do it with delight, and it's absolute joy. And it helps a lot of people, and I enjoyed fresh food and vegetable myself.
Okay.
And if you want to come down to South Jersey, I'll let you go and pick your own.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll take you up on that, and I hope you'll come back. As I said at the top, there's a lot going on at Rowan. You've described a lot of it. I hope you'll come back and give us an update at some point. Let us know exactly what's going on. I'd really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to speaking with you, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks, sir.
Okay, Dr. Ali Houshmand, president of Rowan University. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and thank you all for watching. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.